This could be the most important video that I ever make. This is National Foster Care Awareness Month. Some of you may know, but we have 4 daughters, one of which is a beautiful foster daughter. She was dropped off at our house by the government 3 days before Christmas. She was 3 weeks old and she came out of a pretty rough situation. Now, a lot of people will say, wow, Matt, good for you. I could never. And I appreciate the compliment, but I'm concerned about the response. Because I hear that often. I'd say 9 out of 10 people that I meet that find out about our fostering situation, they go, I could never. And so I ask them, why not? Why could you never? And they say, oh, it's simple. I would get too attached. Dealing with the heartache and the heartbreak would be too much. And I can tell you something, I know how you feel. In fact, I'm living it right now. There's a possibility our daughter goes home in a few weeks, a few months. Her parents are doing great. But let me ask you a question. If you got to the end of your life, trying to live a life without any sort of heartbreak, without taking risks, without throwing your heart over the bar, are you going to be truly proud of the life that you've lived? And this is not to shame or condemn or criticize in any way, but the question, why is it that when we hear the opportunity about fostering, our concern is a broken heart? Our concern is with getting too attached. Isn't that part of the point? I think about the foster system, and guys, I've got to be honest with you. You start hearing some of these kids' stories. You start seeing that so many of these kids, they don't know what it's like to be tickled and laughed with and given food or having a bath. These kids are sitting there for weeks at times, sometimes completely by themselves, neglected, abused. And I just want to challenge you for a minute to think about it. Just consider the foster system. Consider what these kids are going through, because here's what I know is that you might have a broken heart in the end, but think of the heart that you could have invested into. See, I was going to my church service this Christmas, and I learned something new that I'd never seen before during the Christmas story. When Jesus was born, he was given a Joseph. And for the first time in my life, I realized that Joseph was a foster dad. Joseph and Jesus wasn't his biological son, but he treated him like his own and helped raise the next generation. He raised the Savior of the world for all intents and purposes physically. And then I thought about myself, and it really reminded me, what's my role as a parent? And I started looking at my daughters, and I thought, well, these are my daughters, but are they really my daughters? Because Joseph could ask, is this really my son? But he treated that relationship with complete responsibility and said, whether you're my blood or not, you're my responsibility. And I'm going to raise you in the way that you should go. And he raised the Savior of the world. And I look at my daughters and I go, what's my role with you? Are you mine and my possession? Are you children for me to have my heart full? No. My role as their dad is to equip them in the way that they should go so that they can also be saviors of the world, not in the religious sense, but in the physical sense, in the leadership sense. And it caused me to really think about this whole foster situation completely different, because what if you get attached and you have a heartbreak? Yeah, my friends, but what if you don't? What if you don't get attached to these kids and they stay in their situation, they stay in the mud, they stay in the abuse, and they stay in the pain? And yes, you're right, you would have avoided a heartache. But in my experience, you would have also missed an opportunity to invest into these kids, to show them love, to laugh with them, to giggle with them, to invest fully in them as your responsibility to raise up the next generation. And my friends, my kids will one day be somebody else's responsibility. I'll be too old, or they'll have husbands and families of their own. So they're not really my kids. My kids are not for me. We're for each other, and we're going somewhere as a family. And so I look at my daughter, my foster daughter, and she's no different. She's just as much my daughter as my other daughters. Because I believe when you live a life of responsibility and you stop thinking about yourself and your parenting, let me tell you what I believe. That yes, you can do it. Yes, you can get attached. Yes, you can go through the broken hearts, because in the end, it's not about us. It's about holding this little baby girl or this 5-year-old boy and saying, nobody has loved you, but now I do. Think about a future like that. Think about these kids. Think about how rich your life will get. So don't be afraid. Consider the foster care system. Take some time to pray about it, because I believe you can do big things. Let me know if I can help. God bless.